Hey there. Well, welcome everyone to my webinar today, our workshop, that is the Science of Longevity, 10 Essentials for a Long and Vital Life. Let me just set things up here. So first of all, I want to encourage anybody who's attending live to take advantage of this and ask questions. If you have something that you've been wanting to know, you want to get advice from a cardiologist. Okay, I can't give medical advice on here, of course, but I can give general information about your health, your longevity concerns. Please, ask any questions as you have, make any comments. Let us know why longevity is important to you. Like, why are you here? What are you looking to accomplish? What I am trying to accomplish is to give people the information that can help them achieve their health and longevity goals. So we're going to be talking about this for about the next 30 minutes. Give me just a second here to pull up my slides and we are going to get started. So again, welcome everyone. The Science of Longevity, 10 Essentials for a Long and Vital Life. And here's what I would like for you to think about as we talk today. And that is to ask yourself this question: how long do I want to live? So maybe you've seen what getting old means and you're thinking, wow, being sick, being frail, losing independence, maybe being in a nursing home. And you might say, I don't necessarily want to get old. But what if I told you today that getting older does not have to mean being sick and frail, and actually paying attention to just 10 things. And we're going to talk about these 10 things here shortly. Paying attention to these 10 things can markedly increase your chances of living a long and vital life. Like, we don't want to be around just for a long period of time. We want to be around doing the things that we love. We want to be healthy. We want to be independent, mentally sharp, being there for your loved ones, doing the things you love, contributing to the things that are important to you. And if that sounds like what you want, living a long and vital life, you want those years to be healthy, vital years, then you're in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. That is the 10 essentials for a long and vital life. So this workshop is especially for you if you've had a health scare. Maybe you've been to the doctor and you've been told you need to start medications and you're not really sure about that. Or maybe someone close to you or close to your age has suffered a devastating health problem and you've realized, wow, things might need to change for me. Like, maybe I need to start paying attention to my health and prioritizing my health. Or maybe you've had a great life and you want it to continue. You know your health, but you know your health isn't where it needs to be. You've been so busy taking care of everybody else that you've lost track of taking care of yourself. And now you realize that if you don't start changing things, if you don't start taking care of yourself, you might not be around for those things that are really important to you. Or maybe you just keep going to doctors and getting more medications and not getting answers. You continue to just not feel the best. You're not have the energy that you want, and you just keep getting through the day after day. Or maybe you've been diagnosed with a problem like high blood pressure, or diabetes, pre-diabetes, or unhealthy weight, unhealthy cholesterol levels, heart disease, atrial fibrillation, fatty liver disease. And your doctor said, you know what, if you lose weight, if you get healthier, then these things are going to get a lot better, but they didn't tell you how to do it. Or maybe you're just concerned about your risk for heart disease, stroke, cancer, dementia. Maybe you've had some concerns along these lines. Maybe you've already had these problems. Maybe you have a family history of these problems, but you're just not sure what you need to do. There's so much information and misinformation out there. You're looking for a science-based approach to adding healthy years to your life and avoiding these diseases. Or maybe you just feel like you're aging faster than you want to. If some of these or all of these sound like you, then I'm glad you're here, because this workshop was created just for you. So before we go much further, though, I want to introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Hurst. I'm a board certified preventive cardiologist. I've been an associate professor of medicine at the Mayo Clinic School of Medicine at the University of Arizona. I spent almost 20 years at the Mayo Clinic. And my mission, my passion is helping people avoid heart disease, cancer, stroke, dementia, so that they can live a long and vital life. So what are we going to talk about today in the Science of Longevity workshop? Well, we're going to cover three things. Number one, it is an incredibly unhealthy world out there, and it's costing us years, maybe even decades of healthy life. Number two, but it doesn't have to be this way. Science tells us we can lower the risk of heart disease, stroke, cancer, and dementia by up to 80%. And I'm going to talk to you about that science. And then number three, that addressing 10 things, 10 root causes of these diseases can add 12 or more years of healthy life. So let's go to point number one. We live in an incredibly unhealthy world, and it's costing us years, even decades of healthy life. So we are all aware that we live in an incredibly unhealthy world. Even before COVID, the media is filled with stories about how our health is getting worse. There's been epidemics of obesity or diabetes or high blood pressure or addiction, but there is a cold, hard truth to these stories that we all have to recognize. Those cold, hard truths are most of us are not going to live as long as we would like. Most of us are going to struggle with our health for years before we die. And as a cardiologist, I will tell you from personal experience, most don't think it will happen to them until it's too late. So do these sound like overly dramatic statements? I understand if you think that, but let's look at the numbers and see if these are dramatic or if this is just a rational and realistic evaluation of the world today. And let's start with life expectancy. Life expectancy has been increasing steadily for years, for decades. I suspect you're like me, is that I thought this was always going to be the case, that current generations are going to live longer than their parents, but that isn't true anymore. And in fact, life expectancy peaked in 2014. So that was 8 years ago. That was before COVID. Another evidence, the CDC says that 6 out of 10 adults in the United States now suffer from chronic diseases like high blood pressure, like prediabetes, like unhealthy cholesterol, like unhealthy weight. And 4 in 10 of us have 2 or more of these conditions. So the result of all of this is that the leading causes of death, despite really great medical advances, are actually increasing. Heart disease has increased 50%, cancer up 26%, dementia up 88%, stroke rates are up 70% in the last several decades. And again, despite amazing, incredible advances from medicine. So, it really is undeniable that when you look at the evidence, our health is continuing to slip. But here's a measure that I think is even more dramatic, maybe the most impressive to me. One of the measures of health that experts use is a thing called disability adjusted life years. This is the number of years that are lost on average to disease and early death from preventable causes of disease. And so I don't know what you think that average number of years lost might be, but here's the answer. We lose on average 23 healthy years to preventable disease. That's what the experts tells us. So that means the average person is losing almost a third of our lives to preventable diseases. So it's undeniable that we are facing an epidemic of chronic illness. More people are chronically sick today than at any time in history, despite amazing medical advances. And the primary root cause of all of this chronic illness, but preventable illness and death, is this: an epidemic. Doctors call this cardiometabolic syndrome. What I am going to call it is unhealthy metabolism. We have an epidemic of unhealthy metabolism, and that is the root cause of literally billions of people suffering from heart disease, cancer, stroke, dementia, fatty liver, and in my opinion is the biggest problem in healthcare. So how do you know if you have an unhealthy metabolism? Well, if you have one of these 4 signs, then you potentially have an unhealthy metabolism. Those are high blood pressure, unhealthy cholesterol levels, high blood sugar levels, or unhealthy weight. And if you have one of these conditions, you're certainly not alone. Research shows us 88% of adults have at least one of these conditions. Maybe even more concerning, a recent study said 78% of adolescents, teenagers, have at least one sign of unhealthy metabolism. And here's why this is so important. Unhealthy metabolism puts you at the highest risk for the things that we're most concerned about, the things that are taking away our lives too early, that are making us sick: heart disease, cancer, dementia, stroke, kidney failure, fatty liver, Afib, heart failure, anxiety, depression. The list goes on, and includes getting critically ill or dying from COVID. So as I had mentioned, we have an epidemic of unhealthy metabolism. Look at the numbers of this. High blood pressure. 46% of adults today in the United States have high blood pressure, and yet less than half of them are controlled. Unhealthy cholesterol affects about 40% of adults, but only a little over half of the people are on potentially life-saving treatments for that. High blood sugar, 750% increase in diabetes. In my lifetime, about 38% of us have pre-diabetes these days. And then unhealthy weight, 380% increase in obesity since 1990. The latest data, 42.4% of us are obese. So let's just look at a map of this just to kind of emphasize this point and this just dramatic increase in unhealthy weight over the last 30 years. So this is data from 1990. This is a map of the United States showing the states and how many people, what percentage of people had obesity, which was a body mass index over 30. And what you see is the states with the highest percentage of people that had obesity in 1990 was in the 10 to 14% range. But when we fast forward 30 years, here's what it looks like today. Now you can see that the states that have the highest percentage of people with obesity is in the 35 to 40% range. No state is below 20%. So these are striking numbers to all of us, ones that we know. But here's the question. When we asked that at the beginning, why is the world so unhealthy today? We could answer it with just these 2 facts. Number one, most of us have signs of an unhealthy metabolism. And because of that, the result is we are losing 23 healthy years on average. So these numbers are terrible, depressing. But here's the part you can't miss. It doesn't have to be this way. You have control over your metabolism, just like Jamie Rasmussen did. So Jamie has a strong family history of heart disease, and he knew keeping healthy was a high priority for him and for his family and his mission in life. But yet, as he got older, he found, like many of us, he was struggling with his weight, with knowing what to eat and when. He had tried so many diets. He told me he tried Atkins, Pritikin, Weight Watchers, but they didn't work for him because he never felt like he could get full. He was always hungry, and he just didn't understand how he was going to eat less to accomplish his health goals and still function. And he even told me that he was about ready to give up. But as you will learn later, Jamie didn't give up. And if you recognize now that you have an unhealthy metabolism, I want you to understand that you have the power to stop this runaway train of unhealthy metabolism. Unhealthy metabolism is fixable. And when you fix your metabolism, science tells us the risk of these terrible diseases that we're most concerned about are dramatically decreased, and that those who have a healthy metabolism can have an additional 12 or more years of healthy life. So that takes us to point number 2, and that is fixing your metabolism has remarkable benefits. So I still remember how blown away I was early in my cardiology career when I learned, after years of taking care of sick people, that 80% of heart disease is preventable. In the beginning of my career, I was like most cardiologists. I wanted to do procedures and save lives. I wanted to put stents in arteries. But when I learned that 80% of heart disease is preventable, well, I just got more passionate about how can I keep people out of the cath lab than what went on in the cath lab. And it changed my life and it changed my career. But here's the thing that I want you to know as well, is that the research evidence for healing your metabolism is even more remarkable than this. I mean, I know that's hard to believe, but 80% decrease in heart disease is unbelievable, but it gets even better because the same things that prevent heart disease are also the most effective ways to prevent cancer, stroke, dementia, and many other diseases that are robbing us of healthy years. So here's what I mean, and here's what the evidence is. Research tells us that if people that have a healthy metabolism enjoy these benefits, about an 80% decrease in heart disease, in fatty liver, in heart failure, about half the stroke risk, 60% less kidney disease, atrial fibrillation about 60% less, dementia decreased by more than a third, and cancer by 33%, and it adds 12 or more healthy years to life. In fact, it's 12 years on average for women or 12 years for men, and 14 extra healthy years for women for those who have a healthy metabolism. I mean, isn't this incredible? It's almost hard to believe, and I understand that. And at this point, you may be wondering, okay, well, if this is really true, then why don't I know about this? Like, why are so many of us sick? Why is healthcare not fixing this problem? And that's one of the things that I think you need to understand if your goals are health and longevity, is that what healthcare can do for you and what it's not able to do for you. So healthcare is really good, or at least good, I would say, at treating acute illnesses. So if you're having a heart attack or a stroke, or you have acute leukemia, or you're critically ill with COVID, there is no better place in the world to be than a major healthcare system. But if your goal is to heal your metabolism, that is just not what healthcare does. I thought this was really well stated by 𝐸𝐚𝐽𝐻𝐽𝐺 when he said this: our medical model is a simple one. As soon as a disease appears, attack it with everything in the medical arsenal. Beat the disease down, and once you succeed, push the patient out the door until they face their next challenge, then beat that one down. The formula is simple: repeat until failure. Here's the point I want to make. Expert medical care is essential to your health. Thank goodness we have these amazing doctors and great hospitals and medicines and procedures that can save our lives when we need it, when there's an emergency going on. But if you want to heal your metabolism, if you want to live a long and vital life, you need more than just this medicate and operate approach to your health. You also have to address the root causes of the problem outside of the doctor's office. And that's what brings me to our third and final point. And that is, science tells us that addressing just 10 essential root causes can add 12 or more years of healthy life. So I recently Googled how to live a long life, and I got 9.7 billion results. And so with so many options, who do we listen to? Like, who is going to give us the advice on what we need to do to live a long and vital life? And so you're not the only one out there who's thinking, what should I be eating? Should I be eating low carb or low fat or high protein, Mediterranean, keto? Should I be fasting, or should I be doing time restricted eating? Or what was a big deal not that long ago is eating multiple meals a day. What about salt? I hear different information about that. Alcohol, is red meat bad for you? Is it not bad for you? What about doing HIIT or high intensity interval training? Yoga, CrossFit? What about meditation? Is that something I need to consider? Which of the over 50,000 supplements out there should I be taking? And then what about rapamycin, metformin, NAD? I mean, there's these and literally billions of other questions and opinions. And what happens is that we continue to bounce from idea to idea. Latest celebrity diet, exercise routine, miracle supplement, and we stay stuck. And we see what happens and what the result is when we continue to bounce around from idea to idea, and we see what it is costing us. But today I am going to simplify those over 9.7 billion results and opinions to just 10 essentials that science tells us leads to a long and vital life. So if you want to achieve this, then here are the 10 things science tells us work. An incredibly powerful framework for living a long and vital life, which I call the Healthspan 10. So what is the Healthspan 10? Well, the first four we've already talked about. These are the measures we need to get right to heal our metabolism. And that is a normal blood pressure, healthy cholesterol numbers, healthy blood sugar numbers, a healthy body weight, or more accurately, a body composition. You know, what it's not just amount of fat that you have, but where is that fat? Meaning that fat around the middle is going to be more concerning and more damaging for your health and more risky for your future health. These are the four that are measures of where we going, the long-term success in healing our metabolism. This is how we're going to measure that. And the next six are the tools we use to heal our metabolism. What we need to do to lower our blood pressure, cholesterol numbers, blood sugar numbers, and achieve our healthy weight goals. So those tools include number 5, physical activity. So being active is the fountain of youth. There is no other factor that has more power to impact the length and quality of your life. But we all know that already. And yet, for many, exercise is a burden, a mandatory way to burn calories. It doesn't feel good. It's hard to stick with it. And I understand those challenges. I've faced those challenges myself in the past. But what most don't understand is that if you want to live that long and vital life, exercise is not optional. And in fact, it's not just aerobic activity. Many people believe that even the people that are active on a regular basis, they are doing aerobic activity, but they're missing out on the benefits of strength training, of core balance, stability training, of not sitting. These are the factors also that need to be paid attention to if we want to avoid that decline that comes with passing years, the losing the muscle, the mass, the flexibility, losing flexibility, and losing our independence and getting frail and injured. Those are critical aspects of the best longevity programs. And then number 6, healthy nutrition, probably the most complex of the factors because there is so much misinformation out there about nutrition. I'm going to just simplify this and say there's 2 important things that you need to know if you're looking to build your best longevity nutrition system. Number 1, there is no best diet for everyone. But number 2, there is a 4-part framework that you can use to find your best diet. And if you can answer these 4 questions, number 1, what not to eat. Learn the foods that are crippling your metabolism. Number 2, learn what to eat. What are the foods that are best for your physiology and your tastes? And then number 3, determine how much to eat. You know, the usual way to do this is calorie restriction or maybe meal replacements. Those don't last hardly ever. And there's better ways to do it with an intentional eating strategy. And then number 4, determine when to eat. The timing of eating is often ignored, but can be critically important for some. So this is the framework for building your nutrition system. Identify or answering these 4 questions, you'll never be confused about what to eat again. So back to the Healthspan 10. Number 7 is avoid toxins. Yes, we all know about the health dangers of tobacco and excess alcohol, but there are other toxins that are important as well. These days, highly processed foods, some prescription medications, social media, watching the news, our screen time, the list goes on, and again, will be unique to you. Number 8, sleep. Restorative sleep is essential to living a long and vital life. Estimates are that about half of us feel like we're not getting enough sleep, and I can tell you from my experience and from the science, if you're not sleeping, you will not heal your metabolism. And there's a saying that you can sleep when you're dead, but unfortunately, the reality is that if you're not sleeping, you may be dead sooner than you would like. Number 9, manage stress. Chronic stress is everywhere these days. We see it in increased rates of substance abuse, of suicide, depression, anxiety disorders. And just like with sleep deprivation, if you're under chronic stress and not addressing that, you won't heal your metabolism. And then number 10, stay connected. Connection isn't often included when people talk about how to improve health and longevity, but research shows it can be as important as smoking and obesity. But unfortunately, being socially disconnected is on the rise. As much as 36% of people and over 60% of young people feel serious loneliness at times. But when I talk about connection, I also mean connection to your purpose, that you believe your life matters, that you make a difference. Because what is the point of living a long life if you're not fulfilling and living a life that's fulfilling and purposeful? So this is the Healthspan 10, the 10 essentials to a long and vital life. So now let's put it all together. So if your goal is to live a long and healthy life, we know that to do that, we need to help you. You need to avoid and delay the diseases that are most likely to take your life away. Heart disease, cancer, dementia, stroke. And we're going to include COVID in this as well, because people that are at the highest risk of being critically ill or dying from COVID are those people who have an unhealthy metabolism. So if you want to minimize your chances of these diseases, or if you already have them and you want to lower their impact for your future, then the way to do that is to heal your metabolism, to get your blood pressure right, your cholesterol right, your blood sugar right, and achieve a healthy weight. And the tools to do that, the 6 powerful levers that you have to get your metabolism healthy, is physical activity, nutrition, avoiding toxins, restorative sleep, managing stress, staying connected, then medications and operations if you still need them. And that's what Jamie did. So Jamie put his doubts aside and he tried one more time, this time with the goal to heal his metabolism. And what happened is he lost 20 or 25 pounds. And he said, I can't tell you how hopeful I finally feel. And his lab tests improved dramatically. He says his cardiologist, who's not me, actually accused him of substituting a skinny vegan for taking my blood work because my diabetic and cholesterol levels were in such normal range. So today I promised you that I would tell you about the 10 essentials to living a long and vital life. And so now you know, address these 10 root causes, these 10, the Healthspan 10, and you can get these results and add 12 or more healthy years to life. That is the science of longevity. So my goal, my passion, my purpose is to help people heal their metabolism and live long and vital lives. And my hope is you can take this information and just do just that, live a long and vital life. But if you realize that it's time to change, that you're committed to healing your metabolism and you would like expert guidance from someone with experience in helping people optimize the 10 essentials to a long and vital life, here's how I can help. you can sign up for our Healthspan Age Assessment and Action Plan. So in this program, I meet with clients one-on-one to comprehensively discuss and understand how you're feeling, your health history, your family history, your medications, lab results, current lifestyle choices, and then understand your health, weight, and longevity goals. Not mine, but which ones do you want to accomplish? And then from that information, I am going to create your Healthspan Age Assessment and Action Plan. And this is going to include your current Healthspan age, but also your best opportunities to achieve your health, weight, and longevity goals, and your most effective science-based strategies for optimizing your Healthspan 10. So if you're interested in participate in our program, here's how you can do so. Schedule your free strategy consultation with us. So in the strategy consultation, we are going to talk to you about the 10 things that are most powerful in helping you achieve your health and wellness goals. And you can schedule these by going to healthspanmd.com/talk, or just click the book now button that is up on the screen there. So our goal with these strategy consultations are very straightforward. We just want to serve you. We want to help. We want to learn more about you and your goals, what health concerns you have, what's holding you back, and how we can best help you, and then answer any questions that you have. So if you're ready to heal your metabolism, then click the book now button to secure your spot on our schedule. What happens, you go to our calendar, you pick out a time that works best for you, you fill out a few short questions, and then we will get on the phone with you and talk to you about your health and longevity goals. So thank you all for attending today. Let's see about questions that we have in the chat here. Fantastic participation. I'm really grateful for this. Okay, so Bradford says, what's the difference between strength and stability training? So this is a really great question, because this is something that I had to learn as well. So, strength training is anything where you're doing it against resistance that has the goal of building muscle mass. So strength, hypertrophy, either size and mostly strength. But here's the thing that is really important, is that as we get older, we definitely need to maintain our muscle mass. But there's another component of this that we need to work on as well, and that is our stability. That's the core muscles that keep us stable, that allow us to continue to stay balanced. Our balance decreases as we get older as well. Vision isn't as good, our hearing isn't as good, our vestibular system isn't as good. All of those things lead to imbalance, which can lead to falls. And we all know what happens with falls with older people. So that's oftentimes a real beginning of the end, a fall and a hip fracture. And so it's really important that not just building your muscle strength, but also core strength, stability. I include purposeful movement in that as well, because that's what a lot of yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates does, is really helpful in building that stability, those core strengths. That's purposeful movements can do that. So great question, Bradford. I appreciate that. Let's see, we have here. Great. This is really helpful. Another common question that I get about our programs is, can I be your doctor in this program? And if you're within the state of Arizona, when we see each other, I certainly can. I am a cardiologist, but my goal is to be your longevity doctor. Those are the things that I focus on. If you're not within the state of Arizona, I can't be your doctor, meaning I can't prescribe medicines. I don't make diagnoses or treatment options, but here's what I can do. And what I do all the time is be your expert health advisor. So I can give you the background information you need to go to your health professionals and work with them to achieve your goals. While we work on those 6 tools that your doctor almost certainly isn't addressing. And that's the big reason why I do what I do, is because I realize nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress, avoiding toxins, connection, how critically important these things are to health. And those were not tools that I had available to me in a traditional practice. So thank you so much for your time and your attention. Rylan and I would love to talk with you about your health and longevity goals, how we can help you do that. Just book us a time on the schedule with us, and we'd love to talk to you. So thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.